if you could nail today, why is it you're feeling so high? What
It's
is
ridiculous. I've not even hit the gym yet. We have to do the gym after this.
We will.
Normally, my gym is the first thing that I do in the day. What have I done that's different today?
What is it, man? How come you feel like this high? Because sometimes I just wake up like that, and it just is like that throughout the day. And sometimes when I don't, everything I try, it gets better. Like when you meditate and you go to the gym and you have good thoughts, it gets better. But some days it's almost like my body chemistry is optimized for me to just freaking float. And I always think, how can I put a system in place where I can just pinpoint what it is so I can feel like that all day long, every day? Dude, that's the cheat code, man.
Yeah, and I think it starts with Fogo last night. I think it starts with a good meal and good conversation with good people. That is where it began, because I wasn't feeling good before that, remember?
True.
Now, that was an upset stomach, but managed to get rid of that by treating my body better. I needed to go and have a massage yesterday. But what I'm really saying there is I needed to give myself some rest. I've been putting my body through a lot of stress recently, and I needed some time off. So that was a good thing. So I needed to give myself a moment of rest. Then I fed myself well. And on top of that, I was with the boys. So I had great conversation at dinner yesterday. We were all loving that. We went deep, and exactly the way that Theo laid it out. It was, we get there. I'm gutted I missed boxing, to be honest, because I would have also felt like I'd earned that even more if I'd have gone and died a little bit before it. And for all of the other guys to turn up to dinner and having done boxing and me not having done it, it was a little bit like, oh man, I feel like I missed out on that.
Yeah.
So those two things, rest and relaxation, followed by a good healthy meal, followed by great conversation going deep on spirituality, faith and God, then getting a great night's sleep. And the very first thing I did this morning when I woke up was I went for a walk with my friend Jesse, and we had an open conversation about where we're at the moment. We had an open, vulnerable, understanding, deep conversation. Again, like it all centers around that. It centers around being as open as possible and flexible with my thoughts to be there for people when they're going through stuff. Like he's going through some hard things in his life. And then we were just chatting about WrestleMania, and it was great. It was just really, really good, totally fully engaged conversation for an hour and a half. We walked up to the win. I was missing you. No latte.
Sort of post.
Chatting about our families, chatting about what's going on with him, chatting about my future plans for things, and just being open and honest with it. And then there was like this moment where I said goodbye to him, and it was just like I could tell, like I'd really benefited from that conversation, but I could tell that he really had a great time with it. And I felt great after that. And I was walking home and I was just like, he's just such a good fella.
Yeah.
He really inspires me to be a better person. And got back home, and then the day just continued to go on that trajectory. Had a nice meditation, felt great from that this afternoon. Went ultra deep on that meditation. Had a really, really good call with my business partner. I want to say challenge, it's not really the right word. I asked him to challenge me, because we were talking about personality tests. We were talking about feedback. We were talking about how certain people receive feedback. And I want to level up in my leadership skills. I want to level up in what I am able to achieve. I realize I can be kind of hard-headed and think that I know how to do stuff, but I also know that people who've succeeded in areas that I haven't have got valuable information that I need to plug into and assimilate into my workflow. I may have certain things to do with my personal life in check, but in my professional life, I really, really want to dig into what I'm capable of. So I asked him, set me some tasks, like give me some dates, help me structure things in a more effective way. I really want to level up at this. And it feels good to put that out there for myself. Like we're talking about the baptism, to ask for accountability too, to say, I'm looking to achieve these things, help me. And to do that from a place where I'm saying it and I really genuinely mean it. I'm not just saying it to kind of, you know, like I'm prepared to commit. What do I need to do? Dude, how can that not have you feeling like you're going to, the momentum's going.
Yeah.
Now it's commit to it and repeat it. Bars, belief, action, routine. And I've got to think of the S.
But that's like, you ticked off so many important things. Good food, nourishing food. Good conversation the night prior. Both fun and depth, because we talked about religion and spirituality, and everyone has had their own spin and perspective on it. So everyone learned a little bit from each other and got to know each other a bit better in that regard. Then you slept well, you said. And then in the morning, you had fresh air. You walked from your place to the Wynn and back, which is an hour walk in nice air, warm weather, sunny blue sky. On top of that, while you were walking, you were with someone who you have good conversation with, and you had the feeling of also contributing to his well-being. There were a few things he was able to take out of. So it was not just something that you benefited from because he's your life coach, but also that you felt like his eyes lit up a little bit. There was a little bit more lightness for him, or like joy and hope and all those positive things that you saw in him as a result of you speaking to him. So there was that, I think, that part of giving you gave as well. So you had good food, relaxation, good conversation coupled with a sense of giving in that conversation. And then you had healthy routines that allow you to structure your day and connect with your higher self, which is meditation, prayer. I don't know if you journaled as well or no.
No, not today.
Okay. And then what also was interesting is you spoke to your business partner, and it's almost like you also had some goal setting in there, things that you want to change in order to level up on the job. So that's something, psychologically speaking, you can look forward to as well, because you come out of the call and now you have new hope and practical tools, because you guys discuss specifically what it is that you want to change and implement. So you combine the food, the sleep, the conversation, the giving with an outlook of what new things you're going to implement in your life that allow you to level up. You have a really nice blend of things that allow you to level up. And it's crazy, right? Like when you're operating from that state, it seems like it's like a domino effect. Everything just falls so nicely into place. It's almost like you go through the day and it's just smooth, man. You're just flowing through it. And sometimes it seems like we naturally just wake up like that. Sometimes some things happen. I think also the dream state can contribute to that. I don't know, because there's certain nights and I wake up in the morning where everything is light and perfect, and I just have that. Even if I don't do the routine, I have it. And then there's other days where it's not like that. I wake up maybe a bit foggy and a bit like the outlook on the day is not as good as it typically is. But then I do some of the stuff you were saying. Speak to you, maybe speak to family, speak to people that I have good conversation with. I eat something well, my coffee, I do maybe a couple of push-ups, I do some breathing. So I put in all these I have all these tools that I know allow me to feel somewhat better and get my energy levels up. And even though they might not be perfect that day as compared to a day where everything, you just wake up and it's just great, but it's significantly better than just accepting that state of, whatever, that's just a day like that. It always gets you at least out of that and gets you to a state where, you know, you get into somewhat of a flow and you make things happen. And I think for that, you essentially summarized everything everyone always says. Every life coach says the same thing. Sleep well, eat well. Your social network, good conversation, support from other people, giving to other people. Your practices, meditation, journaling, visualization. So all of those combined, they will always give you a burst, man. And if you could have that every day, man, If you could tap into that type of feeling every day, man, the world will look entirely different. Your life's going to look entirely different. You radiate that. Like today when we spoke, it was just obvious. You operate from a different frequency. You even reached out. You said, hey, just checking in. How you doing? You know?
Yeah.
That's not something you do every day. That's something you do on a day when you feel abundantly energetic. You want to give that away. So, of course, then you animate me. And so then I go up like that. And then you get that feeling. I give you that feeling back because now you're feeling, dude, like, I motivated this guy too. Like, what a great feeling. And I cheered him up. He's going to do well. So you get the joy from me feeling well and also the joy from my feedback towards you. And you radiate that out towards all the people, and your day just freaking flies by in beauty, man. You forget. It's just like beautiful. It's like a dream you don't want to wake up from.
Bro, putting your energy into other people could be one of the biggest cheat codes that you mentioned there. I noticed that. Because it is so beautiful to see people light up. And even if it is just in the smallest kind of way where they just say, thank you for pushing me. You know then that person's given a literal boost. It's like you just injected them with a bit of coffee and they've gone, oh, fucking yes, I can do that. Like you watched the reaction to that appear within them that was already there, but they were just missing it because they were too worried about yesterday or last week or something else, or too concerned about what might happen in the future. You just give them a bit of your present moment, gift it. It's beautiful to see. I had a conversation this afternoon, same kind of thing, where I recognized and realized myself doing that exact thing. And then you just watch the response to that, and all of a sudden things are rolling. And then so-and-so's in a text message, and then it's like a three-way call with two other people, and everybody's like buzzing on something.
That reminds me of what you told me on the phone today, how your ideal day would look like, a perfect day. It was Christmas, Christmas Day, where you can just eat and feast with your friends and everyone just at a high energetic state, enjoying and happy and talking to each other. But it was interesting to me because you mentioned specifically you in a happy and joyful state, but your friends as well. There was this unity of positive energy that transcends you as an individual. And for me, that was super important because a lot of times we get caught up in focusing on our own elevation all the time and how we feel, that we forget a very easy tool is to elevate someone else's energy. And that's a very simple thing to do because people think it's always like giving money or something like that. It's not necessarily that. It can be that. It could be speaking to someone, encouraging them, and pointing out some positives about them, genuine, authentic positives. It could also just be a positive thought. You can give a thought. When you think of someone highly and you praise them in your head, that's a level of giving as well. There's different forms of giving. But the fact that you're trying to raise energy in a unified field that is outside of you for your friends and family, that gives you a lot. And I think also from a perspective of how universal energy works, right? You almost become a energetic medium that can give towards other people. So the infinite source of energy almost needs to replenish you at a quick and ongoing rate because now there is dependent positive energy from you radiating outwardly towards other people. So it makes sense from a religious standpoint because the religious standpoint is you need to give and love the other. And even from a point of just how universal energy flows and you being a medium of the infinite energy, the more you give, well, the more source is going to replenish you and give. So it's a win-win.
Absolutely. That is the definition of abundance. And if you become open to the flow of that through you, the more open that you become, the more that you receive, the more that you have to give. So you got to just give it away.
Just give it away. Because you just keep giving it.
Because of course you have.
Yeah.
And any time that you have anything to give to someone else, like it's just, I can't describe it, bro. It's just how we know that makes sense.
Yeah. We know that makes sense. Intuitively, we know it. And I think even, you know, when we look at each other, we see from the human perspective separation, right?
Mm.
But at a higher level, our souls are connected. So we are all a level of awareness, an infinite level of awareness, which is experiencing itself through this outlet and 8 billion other outlets, and not just humans, but also other things in nature, right? So when you transcend the illusion of separation, then giving something to someone just means giving it to yourself. Because at a field transcending this, you guys are one. You're unified.
That's what you need to remember the most. You must have heard the phrase, if I'm happy, you're happy. Sorry, no, the other way around. If you're happy, I'm happy. You've said that to someone before, I'm sure.
No, I haven't.
Have you never said that to someone?
No. No.
Okay, well,
I've said it to a partner. Are you specifically... If I've ever said that to someone, it's like, yeah, if you're happy, I'm happy as a partner. Yeah.
that's unconditional. That's when you've let go of the need for you to be happy first. You're not concerned about Puya being happy. But that is the peak point. That is the remembrance of you being unified field. That is when you are with them and them at the same time. Because then it's like, I don't need to be concerned about me getting to a state of happiness. I just need to share my happiness with you. And when you are happy, well, then I'm good.
Yeah.
Because I am you and you are me.
Yeah, I think that people that are like that, there's people that just naturally love to give. They're so nourishing and they're so giving and caring. And they've just transcended this frequency of only focusing on themselves and on their needs. They almost live from a state where they can focus on other people's feeling and give and pour into them. And you said something earlier that I really, really liked. It's selfishness in your spiritual evolution. So putting your spiritual evolution first will allow you to then, what was it, selfishness for?
For selflessness.
For selflessness. So you're selfish in your spiritual evolution so you can be selfless with your ego and give. And that's a big one, because I think for you to actually be giving and loving and caring, you need to be selfish when it comes to your own spiritual evolution and the elevation of your consciousness. And when I say selfish, it means doing all those things that you know are necessary for you to evolve spiritually. Read spiritual text, practice some type of religion or spirituality, get your body in shape, get your mental health in shape, eat well, sleep well, make sure you only consume content that aligns with where you want to go, make sure you have conversations that are spiritually nourishing. So that means putting your spiritual evolution first. It doesn't mean that I'm only going to put my needs and wants and the ego wants first. It doesn't mean that. Like it's me at all costs. Spiritual evolution in itself, when you focus on that, the natural byproduct of it is the giving and the loving and the care for others when you authentically practice that. So I think that's a beautiful way of putting it, because you need to fill your cup up to the extent where you can then give to other people. If you're someone that's dispositionally unhappy and in a state where things in their life are not mapping out, they're unhealthy, don't have a job that is fulfilling, they don't have a nice relationship, they don't have good friends, they have good relationships with their family, they don't feel good about themselves, well, naturally, your thoughts and your focus and your attention is going to be on you all the time. So for you to be able to have attention and thought for others, there needs to be a certain level of being taken care of yourself as well. So that's why I really liked what you said. It resonated with me very well.
Yeah. Tom says that as well, funnily enough. Like, you got to take care of yourself to some degree, right? You obviously, you have to take that in context. We're not saying be selfish and only concern yourself. I think that is pretty obvious, though. But the life force that Stutz talks about is if people aren't able to do that, if they are feeling down or depressed, or they aren't able to just be happy, they can't get to the point where they are in control of their thoughts, the first thing that they take care of is their body. So we've spoken about this many times. You get moving. You go out and get some fresh air. Mm-hmm. That can really be a differentiator. Earlier this week, in the afternoon on Wednesday, I felt really flat, kind of down. Hump day. There were various reasons for that. But what I did was I went for a walk. I got out of my environment and went and just let the thoughts go through my head, spoke to God about it, and tried to let go of the feeling that was there. Just let it play out. Came back, spoke to someone about it as well. I think that's a very important thing to also add in there. It's good to not hold these things inside. Like, you could write it down if you want, but to have a conversation with somebody, to let them know that you're feeling some sort of a way, and to have that conversation with somebody that you feel is open enough and encouraging enough that they will be there for you. They're going to listen. They're not someone who's going through too many things in their own life. It has to be someone who you look up to, I suppose, in some way. And that that can hold that kind of conversation and will respond with something that can lighten the mood. That is important to do as well. And then my day then changed as after I'd had that. First of all, I felt, because I had the conversation, some monkey come off my back. It was like, it's all right. I was overthinking a little bit about that. Of course, there's always going to be moments where things go a little bit bumpy or something. You just don't feel as good about something. But if you get yourself out of your head by going out into a different environment, moving your body is the number one step to get the life force active again. So it goes body, people, yourself, in that order. And you can refresh that each day. So you can do some action, you can move around rather than lay down in bed, think that it's going to go away. You can get up, go and walk around, just go do some exercise. Then you can talk to someone. And then you can deal with yourself. And in that order, things work out.
And it can be as simple as just walking. Walking outside does a lot for me. Mm-hmm. And when you actually walk, you're reducing your anxiety response. So your amygdala activation, which is the fight or flight response, is going down as you walk. And the reason is, evolutionarily speaking, when you walk, you're approaching, you're not avoiding. So from a predatorial standpoint versus prey, you are not the prey anymore. So that's why your anxiety response goes down. So that's a very useful tool when you feel anxious or worried, is to just get up and leave. And just as a matter of fact, it signals to your brain that you are the predator, you are not the prey. You are approaching, you are not avoiding. You're attacking, you're not retrieving. And it's so true. Like, it's so simple and it's so true. Especially when it's done in daylight with the sunshine and the blue sky and the light on top of that as well. There is no way you're going to feel worse after that.
There's also micro movements in your eyes that are happening as well, which is the same as happens in the EMDR therapy.
Yeah.
So that is helping you reframe certain things in your memory as you're moving. Mm-hmm. So there's multiple benefits to that.
100%. And then when you couple that with a good conversation like you did today, speaking to your life coach while you're moving, while the sun is hitting, you're ticking off all those boxes. Then you have a Spanish latte, bro.
Oh, bro. And then
the caffeine coming in, the sugar from the condensed milk.
I got there and I said to him, so what do you want? And he was like, oh, I'll just have a water.
What?
And I was like, oh, man, you're going to miss out. I felt bad then having my latte. Every time I took a sip from it, I was like, oh, man.
Don't you ever feel bad for having a latte, bro, ever. This is lattes and wisdom.
True that.
Yeah, that's awesome, though, man. That's beautiful. I think it's a lot of times we know, at least we're at a state now where we know what we kind of need to do when we don't feel that naturally, when we don't wake up super joyful and happy when maybe the sleep wasn't that great, or the night before you had a fight or whatever, and you kind of wake up sluggish, doing those things. And a lot of times it's still, you're avoiding doing them for whatever reason. You're not getting out and you're not walking, knowing that the walking is going to help.
Yeah.
You're not eating the right meal. You know, you're not maybe calling up a friend and telling him what's going on. Like, I catch myself a lot of times where I'm like, I'm just swallowing that, like, whatever, you know. I learn how to cope with that. But like you say, just talking to someone immediately, man. The thing is also, what I notice is when you talk to someone about it, rather than talking to yourself about it, the moment you speak, you're the observer of your speech. That's the weird thing.
You've gotten out of your head
That's
at that
it.
point. Yeah.
That's it. So it's the same thing. Like when we say, you know, we're actually the observer. We're not the mind and we're not the body, but we're the observer of both. Our idea of the infinite, of God, of the divine. The moment I speak to you about it, there is a part of me that observes me speaking. So there's a natural detachment from the issue happening while I speak about it. Whereas when I speak to myself about it, the observer state and the thing observed, the state collapses into one another.
Yeah.
That's why it's so helpful to get it out.
Yeah.
On paper, yes, but even better to speak to someone.
Oh, even better to speak to somebody.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times it's just like getting over that hurdle of, I don't know, feeling embarrassed or shameful about telling someone that you feel like that. I think
it's the saving face thing, dude. We talk about this all the time. It's that, because I said to the guy that I called that night, and I said to him, I don't know why, but I you know, I feel like I have to kind of just appear like I'm bulletproof all the time with you. But I actually wanted to tell you that today was a flat day. Like, I didn't really know how to deal with it. And he was like, you know, man, it happens to all of us. Da 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 da. And if you get to the studio later tonight and you're not feeling it, he's like, just call it off. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to do that. And then all of a sudden I started to back myself again.
Mm-hmm.
But just having the conversation and being prepared and happy enough to feel that emotion was enough for me to get over it.
Yeah.
That was the therapy of it. You have to have the conversation.
Yeah. And it's so crazy how sometimes we can lose track of how nice and helpful most people are, man. And most people around you, they want to help. They don't want you. I don't know anyone around me. Honestly, most people are genuinely nice. So when you speak to someone about it, that sheer reaction of, man, we all have that day. Even though that person might not be the most spiritual person, the fact that they react like that, man, it's because they don't want you to feel like that. They want you to feel good. That's why we're inherently divine, man, whether you want it or not. The initial reaction is, hey, of course, man. Like, so most people you speak to, man, even if you don't overthink it and you just call whoever, like someone that comes to your mind, most people will be like, oh, sorry to hear, man. What's going on? They'll have an open ear. And that's already, it's putting you on the right track to feel better afterwards. It's just getting it out. Mm-hmm. And then if you get some added benefit, maybe a nice perspective, a nice spin on the situation from someone that can shed a different light, then beautiful. But even just to speaking to a friend, to a family member, whoever that is, who just lends an open ear, which is also just a form of giving. They're just giving in that moment. They're giving their ear, right? They don't need to do much more, and you just speak. And then you do the same for someone else, man. It's not rocket science, but it's just doing that. It's knowing that you need to do this and that there is a way out of this, like, negative emotional state that you're currently embodying, but that state is not you. It's just the state. Mm-hmm. You can change that. You can elevate that state. And you elevate it through all these tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just do it.
Yeah, exactly. It feels so good as well to let that out. Like it's a kind of stress reliever. Just like you, all of a sudden that part of you kind of clicks back into place. It's like a big breath out, and then you can take a breath in after that. It's such a kind of relieving thing. But it happens to everyone. It's like no, there's not a single person on the planet that's not human.
Of course,
that's it. We have that benefit that we are sensitive to things, that we can make a distinction between past, present, and future. That's the absolute peak of consciousness. Mm-hmm. Is that we can sense where things are going and where they've come from. That's the divinity. we can always find that beacon again.
Yes. And it's empowering, but more than it is relieving, but it's more than that, because it also increases your confidence, because essentially at a subconscious level, what you're telling yourself is that I'm not enslaved to my emotional state. So I felt a certain way. Then I used specific tools. In this example, I called Mark. He spoke to me, and I felt better afterwards. And then from that boost, I went out and I added a workout on top of that. Now I feel much better than I felt before. So what it tells you is you're not imprisoned by your negative emotional state, but you have power over changing your emotional state. And if you are mastering how to elevate your emotional state, you're literally mastering life. Because your level of energy in motion, emotion, is dictating how far and where you go in life. That's what you're going to radiate, man. That's the frequency that's going to speak before you open your mouth.
100%. You see it in the whites of people's eyes. Also, the more that you operate at those levels, and the more that you can transmute those emotions into the ones that do benefit you, the quicker that you can do that, the more aware that you can be of them. Just being an emotional response. Oh, I notice I'm feeling that sort of a way. Okay, tell you what, I'm going to let that run through me, and then I'm going to move it to here.
Yeah. Yeah.
The more you can do that, the more that you operate at that capacity every day, and then you're on the bars.
You're on the bars. You mastered it. And the fact that we live on the plane of separation duality, and we spoke about this before, means that every negative emotion is going to have its positive polar opposite. So fear is going to have courage. Anger is going to have joy. Hate is going to have love. So forth and so on. And the bridge between the negative and the positive emotion, which are the same energy, just vibrating at different levels, the bridge from the negative towards the elevated emotion is through using your mind and doing the things you know that will help you to transcend that emotion. So literally talking to your friend, going to the gym, eating well, sleeping well, meditating, consuming maybe an audible that is nourishing to your mind.
I did that too.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
You got to have your little checklist of things that you go through. If I feel this way, then here are the things that helped me get through this, and write them down. That you know that when that feeling arises again, what worked for you last time. Okay, I listened to the audible for a little bit. I call my friend, and I go out and do some action. Whatever the things are, you can notate that.
And that's beautiful, because all you need for that is a mind. You can just use your mind, because you know that those are the things that will help you. So the bridge from negative to positive emotion is done via the sound mind. Timothy 1:7, we're not made in the image of fear, but in the image of love, and with a sound mind. So the bridge from fear to love is done via the sound mind. The bridge from negative to elevated emotion is done via the sound mind. It's using the sound mind and then doing the things that you know. Your mind knows. You know, that's the plan. That's the structure. This is what I need to do. Tick, 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 tick. And it allows me to then transmute the negative towards a more neutral, possibly even positive emotion. And it works without failure.
How do you get the most sound mind? Or how do you hear the best? Not the best. How do you hear the most clearly what your mind is telling you? And when we say sound mind, we mean a mind that is not cluttered with the chatter. So silence a prerequisite.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to tell you this, the same thing. That was the response.
The flat EQ that I was talking about.
The flat EQ?
The flat EQ. Equalizer.
Ah.
So
flat equalizer.
Yeah, I'm talking music producer.
Music, man. Yeah.
But yeah, if there's you haven't got an EQ which is all over the place with high treble up here and things in the bass line over here. You've got a flat frequency response. A sound mind would be the clearest response rate with no peaks in any particular area. It would be a flat response rate. It'd be like sat in a room with perfect paneling everywhere, so that there's no reverbs, no delays, no echoes, no unnecessary noise, no signal, no tinnitus.
Incredible. So that's essentially going back to the observer, going into silence and connecting with your I amness.
Yes.
Without the conditioning of it.
Absolutely. Because all sound comes from silence.
And then from there, from that silence, you can then connect with your intuition and your divine voice, the thing that is connected to something beyond your rational mind, which then knows what you need to do. It will give you the answers. You already have all the answers.
You have all of them, yeah.
You just have to declutter so you can hear that voice.
Yes.
Otherwise, the noise of the clutter will mask the voice of your divine. And you get there through silence.
1000%. Again, that the Wednesday afternoon flat is because of things that's going on that I'm letting become too much of the narrative that's in my head. So then it's like, oh no, this and then that. Oh, that means that this. Oh, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Right, let me go for a walk and let me clear my mind. That's what the phrase is, isn't it?
Clear your mind, yes.
Let me go and clear my mind. So you need to kind of go, let those things settle, instead of letting them take over your whole vision. That's how you then get the sound mind, to get the clarity and the silence and the quiet that you need so that the voice of reason can talk to you.
Yes. Yes. Reminds me again of what you just said is the summary, essentially, of the Romans 12:2 verse that we speak about. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed through the renewal of your mind. Mm-hmm. So the renewal of your mind happens by decluttering. And really, now that you talked about it, decluttering really is removing the negative imagination. Because that voice you had on Wednesday that was going on was nothing but negative imagination. It was the voices in your head that were making up a picture within you that caused you to feel a certain way. So by decluttering, you actually cleared up imagination, went to a point of stillness, and from there reimagined positive imagination. And that's the renewal of the mind.
Mm-hmm. That's positive reframing.
That is. So you need to go from the clutter. You have to go from the, Joe Dispenza says this, you have to go from the something to the nothing to then create something new.
Spot on.
Yeah. So that's awesome, man. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that there is no way you're going to come out of this not feeling better. No way. If you just do it. You need to do it. You can't just sit there and think about it. You have to actually do it.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that I have a tendency to stay in those zones for too long sometimes.
Well,
you know, I try and think myself out of things.
Yeah.
I know we were talking about this last night with how much we both analyze things. Like that's a great quality to have in many different ways in our life, but also can be something that needs to be worked on itself. Because
absolutely.
It's not necessary. A lot of the time, what we really need to do is not analyze and let things just happen, flow, and be okay with it, kind of just water off a duck's back. And then we eat that duck. We eat that lamb.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. And for me, what helped, because I have an analytical mind, and sometimes when I know I should be going out and raising my energy levels through doing these things and I still don't do them, is knowing that in a state of anxiety or feeling low mood, your entire system neurochemically is set up in a way for you to not actually move forward. It's to retreat or to freeze a lot of times. So it's that knowing that neurochemically you're actually set up to not do any of those, and you need to overwrite your physiological response to how you feel. So that the knowledge in itself allowed me to say, oh, that's normal that I feel like I can't really move and I don't want to walk, even though I know it's the right thing to do, because it's signaling some primitive part of myself is thinking that, you should probably just hide in your bed and not do anything, man, because there's some lion outside. That's obviously BS, man. So just knowing that my body is reacting like that to that situation, that allowed me to overcome it. It was as simple as that, because now I'm aware of why it's happening.
Yeah, you're a beast, though. This actually makes me think about, a lot of the time you refer back to your ancestry and the primal kind of urges that and you talk about fight or flight, and I'm thinking about, you know, how we would have to go out and hunt, and you're somebody that goes boxing, and you like to pit yourself into the state of like, if I had to fight for something here, if I had to go and collect food for my whole family, I would need to be in this mental state. I would need to be prepared to go out and potentially die in the process of winning the food for the community. That is such a powerful thing to talk about. You know what actually made me think of something else as well when you were talking about this? And you were talking at the beginning of this conversation about, imagine if we could just take a pill which gave you that feeling. Well, you do, beef organs. Like, think about that. There's something in that maybe even, and I get this, mate, even when I have bison instead of ground beef in my chili con carne or in my meals, I think to myself, I'm taking on the strength of the bison. That's one reason why I certainly can't just be eating chicken for the rest of my life, because what am I going to do? Walk around clucking at stuff? Like, sometimes I need to feel that I've taken in the strength and power of a bigger animal.
Yes.
And even if that is part placebo,
Doesn't matter.
it kind of doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. The placebo effect is strong and real.
So it's like, next time I feel like I'm down, I'm just going to take some beef organ pills and be like, power of the bison.
That's it, man. And
But bro, it might work.
yeah, a lot of people are saying that when they eat wild game, they feel like that because there's something that they perceive that they're eating, which is a wild, strong animal that is a hunter. So now you're consuming part of that image. So whether it is actually what you're eating, partly it's that, because a healthy animal that was wild out there and was a successful hunter, and I don't know, the bison, for example, right? You go and you eat that. So of course there's going to be some nutrients to it, but it's also that feeling of consuming that now you're stronger than before. You just imported something heroic and strong, which is part of you. You absorb that, right?
We need to make a hero supplement to go alongside Glory Bars.
What goes in there?
Proprietary blend. No, I'm serious though. You know where I'm going with that. There's something in that.
Yep, I do. And when you combine eating something like that, a wild animal, with some wild activity, like running like a madman or boxing or CrossFit, you're signaling to yourself that I'm not prey, I'm the predator.
Yeah.
And then when you're the predator, you're approaching, not avoiding.
Yeah.
That's the thing you want to do about life. You want to approach. And that's what dopamine does. Dopamine is the hormone that allows you to approach. It's not the feel-good hormone that people think
it is the in the process of, isn't it? It's
Correct.
the lead to.
Correct. And it allows you to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
That's literally what it does. It allows you to keep moving forward to the next and to the next. So what you want to do is approach, and what you can do to approach is eat well, do physically hard things, and declutter your mind, speak to people, sleep well, all the things all of us know. All of us know what they are.
Man,
there's no rocket science to that.
No, there really isn't. When I was doing a podcast with Tom, and he said the same thing. He said his dad said to him, just do the basics well. And you really just got to keep it simple, stupid. Like, what are the baseline things that you need to take care of? Do those. Start there. Good to go, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely coconut watered out of your mind.
Coconut, yeah, and coffee. And the one more thing I would add to that is, it is as simple as those things that we say, but it's not easy. So just telling someone, do those things, it sounds good, but a lot of people know that and they're still not doing it. So we're trying to deal with that, being stagnant, knowing that you should be moving, and just do the simple things, man. You know what to do. Great. We know that. Some people are better than that, but some people knowing that they should be doing this, not doing it. What really helps is knowledge. It's the why you should be doing those things. Why should I be eating well? Why should I be sleeping well? Why should I declutter my mind? Why does verse Romans 12:2 say that? What does that mean scientifically, to declutter your mind? What does that mean when I'm in a freeze mode, when my amygdala response is preventing me from moving forward and walking? Because I can tell you, you have a right thumb, they have a right toe. Now that I told you you have a right toe, you're going to be aware of the right toe. Otherwise, it exists, but you're not aware of it. So all those tools are existing, and all those mechanisms within you are going on. But the more you are aware of what is going on within you, the more you are going to be likely to move forward and do them. A lot of times, just telling someone, do this, is not enough, because they don't have enough knowledge of what's going on within them. That's why knowledge is so important when it comes to these things. Because it's funny, because knowledge, if you think about the word knowledge, it's science, it's understanding how things operate, how you operate. But that in itself allows you to transcend energy and elevate energy, which is emotion. So you need the knowledge to elevate your energetic frequency. That's why you have science and religion. That's why you have mind, spirit. That's why you have the body following the mind, the spirit, and the mind. That's why they're all interconnected. When you tell someone, just do the simple things, what you're doing is you're scratching the action realm. But we're existing on the spiritual, the mental, and the physical. For a lot of people, including myself, just telling you do those things is not enough. It needs to be aligned with the mental and the spiritual. So what's the mental? It's the knowledge. It's the education. What is the spiritual? The spiritual is your connection with the divine, your meditation, your stillness, your decluttering. That's why you need to be doing all of this, to really, really tap into that.
You're inside of me.
I feel honored, man.
This is so perfect. Bro, thank you for always being there for me.
Likewise, my brother. Likewise.
You're the man. Big ups.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate it, man. Cheers.
Cheers.